Welcome to the Focus Professional Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Lenton, and this is episode 26. Welcome to the Focus Professional Podcast. Today's guest has been a finalist and an award winner with many international competitions, including the 2017 Exposure Still Life, Sony Awards, Portugal Awards in 2018 and 2020. He's won many awards with the Society of Photographers. This is Portuguese photographer Antonio Bernardino Coelho. Hello, Antonio.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming on the podcast.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem at all. Well, I've seen your work around a lot in recent years. It's very impressive.
Thank you.
I'm not surprised you've been winning all those awards, but what I do want to know is how do you manage to create all these great images, but you still have another job and you've got a family? How do you find time for all this?
Okay, finding time is a little difficult, of course. Work and family first, and I think photography is a great hobby for me. I like photography also. I think I have a big passion about photography also, and that's why I try to create something different every time I do photography.
Do you have a particular day or time you set aside for your photography?
Okay, let me see. Not a particular day, but autumn is a great time of the year to explore nature. I live near the woods, and it's great for nature and mushrooms. I like that. But any time of the year when I get some free time, I do some photographies.
I've read on online that you actually used to have an interest in painting before you started doing photography.
Yeah.
Is that, do you still paint at all?
In summer, mostly in summer.
Yeah, it's probably difficult to sit outside and paint in winter. It's a bit wet.
Well, if you paint with oil painting, it dries slowly, but acrylic is really fast, and that winter is great for acrylic because it doesn't dry so fast. You can expand painting over the canvas. That's nice also.
So what made you switch from mainly painting to photography? Why did you change the focus?
Okay, photography appears in 2010. In my honeymoon, I traveled to Cuba. And I took with me a small digital camera, a small Sony camera in the pocket. And my idea was bring max of images I can get there because Cuba is a great place to travel in my vision, of course. But the main idea was bring a lot of images. Since then, I have not been working directly in digital image. 2011, I start a small collection of old cameras, something different. Okay, I try to learn more about analog photography, film, medium format, and that becomes a passion since there. Of course, my collection is sold when I want to buy a better camera. 2015, I bought my first digital DSLR camera. And since then, I have been working digital mostly.
So no more film anymore.
Okay, I am thinking back to film, medium format, or even pinhole cameras, but not now. Maybe sometime.
Yeah, I suppose it's not as easy to do something sort of quickly when you've got film and you have to develop the film compared to digital.
I don't develop myself. I would like to do that. I did sometimes with pinhole camera, but not. I always went to some company to develop my own films, not me.
So is there anything that you miss from shooting film cameras now that you work with digital?
Okay, film cameras, you must be more careful about when you are shooting to not destroy a frame. Frame is a piece of film. You don't want to lose that piece of film. It will cost you a lot of money to develop, digitalize everything. Okay, but film photography is different. I think it's more nostalgic. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, as you said just a little while ago, that you think you might go back to it at some point.
Yeah, probably taking some historic places here in Oporto, a city in north of Portugal. I think it's a good city to explore with analog film in medium format. Probably will be one of my future projects, something about Oporto in black and white.
Nice. So do you think you would scan the photos from a film camera to work with them in digital as well?
Okay, when I work with film photography, I try to be the most natural possible. Trying to not do some manipulation, minimal manipulation. When I call minimal manipulation, it was cleaning spots, some white areas or black areas, managing the contrast and the levels in photography also. Nothing more about that.
So with your digital work, the images that we see, your still life, your architecture that you shoot now, do you spend more time in Photoshop with those? Do you do more work on those images, or are they quite natural as well?
There are some difference between both. Still life are more natural because I manage before what I want to focus in the photo. My architecture photographies are a little bit different because then I want to explore some personal areas in the image. I cannot call that a photography, but digital image. Okay, not AI, artificial intelligence, but of course I use Photoshop and Lightroom, nothing more. But I do a lot of post processing on those images.
So you work as an engineer. Do you think that background you have as an engineer affects how you work as a photographer as well?
Probably a little bit. My area of engineering is electricity energy. I do projects for power lines, networking, and what I do is more about energy, big power, transmission lines, and some of my works are focused on energy. Yeah, I can say that. Energy, efficiency, pollution, everything about that. It's a little bit from that point of view.
So some of the images that we've seen have been inspired by things you've come across through being in the world of energy, perhaps.
Yeah,
Things that
something like,
concern you.
for example, lithium. My image, Electrocity, is pieces of electrical components. I created a city in still life over a black glass with reflection. Energy and that became focused in some of my works, not all, of course.
No. So what would you say gives you inspiration to create a photo?
Some of my works are a satire of our society. My last series, State of Mind, is a styrofoam bust. It's the same in every photo. I created like it was operation to the brain. There's no brain out there, and then I combine colors from the chromatic circle, and my ideas are like a satire about our society today. But there are other works like small fish made with masks.
Yes, yeah.
That became across the problem of ocean pollution. Other themes are focused in my work.
So you've got nature from the woodland. You've got sort of quite storytelling images as well from these other ones, like, particularly the mind type images. You can tell quite a lot of a story, but there's very little in there, I wonder, do you think it's your training as a painter that helps you know when to stop? Because a lot of people put too much in an image.
I don't say it's about painting, it's about photography only, but I like color. I like give some message. For example, the series State of Mind is to make people just look at the image and express themselves what they want to see in that image. But I think the images are clear, are trying to be simple and clear and with effective message. Okay, seems like that.
Yeah, and I think it works very well. You know, there's never anything in there that's too much or extra. The colours are often very vivid. Have you deliberately studied colour, or is this something you do as sort of naturally as an instinct?
Okay, in that series, yes, or Plastic One Enemy is another old series from 2021, 22. Since then, last year and this year, I have been working in that last series, State of Mind. Yes, of course, I studied the color. Most of the image seems to be like a signal, like we can find in the roads. When you get a strong, vivid color or vivid colors, people often want to look that, and that keeps their attention for the photo. I study some of the colors, creating contrasts or adjacent colors or triangle colors in triangle. I try to manage that to create an image that people like to watch for the image. I don't say that my images are great images, okay, and I'm not a great photographer, but I try to make people look and watch and look, and the message is also quite clear instantly.
So what then would you say you really want from when someone looks at your photo? What is the reaction that you would like from them when they see your images?
Probably some agreement with my opinion.
Yeah.
Or not. People are free to get their own ideas, but I think I like people sometimes feel happy when watch the image. It's something like watch a movie. I think the great movies, people went to the cinema to look that movie, and I think the creators, producers want people like the movie, the sound. Here, I want that people like the image and enjoy the image and create themselves their opinions about that.
Yeah, that makes sense. So have you been influenced by others for your photography, other photographers or perhaps people from different art forms?
Mostly from other art forms, painting, Victor Vasarely, op art painter. I think he had a great series about alphabet of color with contrast of colors. The the painting colored Vega is great and excellent image with just a three-dimensional effect. And I like that. I like color in my image. I also do black and white, of course, but mostly I explore color. I think color is it's a great area to enhance my work.
Yeah, I think I read somewhere that you liked Escher, the
Yeah,
artist
also.
as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that because it's kind of like a sense of humor in his images? Is that what you like, or?
Yeah, I think Escher was also a great mathematician. Let me try to say he was good at maths. Okay.
Yeah, that's the way. Yep.
That's the way.
Yeah.
Mathematician or something like that. My English sometimes gets a barrier, but he was good at maths. He created some images that seems like to be impossible. Some images are just like impossible, and that's, I think it's very, very creative. That's why I like Escher.
Yes, it's very different. There's not really many others that have done that kind of
No,
thing.
I think he was a genius about that.
Yeah. So, how long then have you been entering competitions, and why did you start?
Okay, my first competition was in lomography with analog image made with, let me see what camera was. Well, I think it was a Yashica Mat A camera, a TLR camera with Loma purple film made in format. It was a nice film to try because it was not an infrared film, but changed the greens and the blues mostly to rose tones, red tones. Yeah, it was the first competition I entered here in Portugal. I win second place, but someone in 2016, I guess, told me when I was doing my first works in photography with my first DSLR camera, they told me there's a nice contest you should enter, Sony Awards. That stayed in my mind, but I didn't enter it in that year. Only in 2018 or 17, I think. First, I entered in Exposure, and I guess I was lucky. My image was about the four elements. I created the four elements in a home with four empty glasses with water. I used it to create smoke. I used phosphorus from a matchbox. That part of the side, of the lateral side, if you burn, it creates or it dissolves phosphorus, the toxic element. If you scratch,
I hope you had the window open when you did that.
Yeah, that's really toxic. But if you smash that small liquid in the with your finger and the glass, it starts to slowly create the effect of smoke. And then I burned something to create fire, and Earth was small plant. I put it in inside the cup, and that becomes the first great prize I win. I went to charge. Everything was paid: travel, camera, and some money, and that became something interesting. Let me see if I can do something more. And in the next year, I was awarded in Sony Awards. I won. I was commended. It was the last time that someone was commended. 2018, and win also in that contest Portugal National Awards at Sony Awards 2018. I traveled to London. I was in London. I had a new camera. Also, that was great. And also in 2020, but in 2019, I think I get prize in PX3 and another international contests. And since then, more and more participations, more and more creations, and that becomes really a great interest about photography that grows every day.
So what is it like for you entering a competition now that you've had success? Do you feel pressure? Do you feel that you expect to do well? Do you think other people expect you to do well? Or are you relaxed when you enter a competition?
Honestly, I feel relaxed. I'm not avid for I must win. No, not that. I like photography. I like to create different. I try to do that in every single image that I create or series, and that's what I like to present to the jury of the competition, and that's what I try to do, not with that idea in my mind that I must win. I'm not feel pressured about that. I had some, let's say, not reviews, but some indications that people from some contests, from people's jury from some contests, would say something like that. Oh, what are you going to present to us this year? Something like that. But no, I don't feel pressure. I feel like I'm totally free to express myself, create what I want. If I win, win. If I don't win, I don't win. No problem with that.
Oh, that's an ideal position to be in, I think, is if you can enjoy it like that, then that's great. Yeah. I mean, I suppose perhaps one of the reasons is that you don't rely on the photography to create your income, perhaps. So you don't feel the pressure to always be seen as a
effectively.
photographer.
I do
Yeah.
some works. I have been invited for some works. I have been done in the past for Merck, creation of an image that became present on our Portugal Parliament.
Mm.
Some works with some companies, particular works that are not published online,
Mm.
but they are paid, of course. I
Yeah.
can do also that works for that companies who wherever invited me.
Mm.
But that's not my principal work, so I'm not, as you said, I'm not feel pressure for that.
Mm. So do you think you ever would switch to become a fully professional photographer and leave your engineering work?
It's a little bit complicated because I don't know if I had a lot of, let me say that, a lot of people or companies invited me to create works for them.
Mm.
Probably I would like to think about that in the future. But I think photography is also a difficult area. I don't say to live, but
Mm.
it is very expensive also.
Mm.
Okay, I invest some money in photography. I know that lenses are expensive,
Yeah.
lights are expensive, the rest of the equipment is truly expensive. Cameras, of course, and it makes all the difference when we work with great material, great equipment.
Oh, it really does. Yeah. I know that people like to say it's just about the photographer. They can make you can create a great picture with any camera, but at the end of the day, there's certain things you can only do if the lens is good enough, if the lights are
Yeah,
good
yeah.
enough. So,
Uh, I don't use only good stuff or new stuff. I use also old lens
mm,
that I adapt to my camera because they give another vision to the work. For
yeah.
example, old German lenses are fantastic to get extreme bokeh in nature photography. Is really beautiful. I like that,
Mm.
and that's why I use some old lenses too.
Would that be things like Zeiss lenses?
Zeiss, Meyer optics,
Hmm.
something like that. Yeah, there are
Mm.
great lenses.
Yeah.
Even the
Uh-huh.
old ones or the Japanese lenses are also great.
Yeah. They're all different, aren't they? All have their own
Yeah.
strengths. Yeah.
So there are something that have a small amounts of radioactive elements in the in the front glass. Those don't get any fungus in the front element. When you get an old lens without fungus, you must think that that lens must have some parts with radioactive elements. Tritium, I think. I think it's
Okay,
tritium.
yeah. As long as you don't start glowing, that's okay.
Yeah. No, they
So,
don't kill you. They don't
no,
kill
that
you
oh, good.
because
That's
old photographers live at a very old age without problems because of the lenses.
that's good to hear. That's that's reassuring. So, you share your passion of photography with others as well. Do you sometimes do bits of teaching and workshops for people?
I have been done some in the past, mostly in schools. People from schools invited me, some
Hmm.
teachers. I have been done some in schools and some with some enterprises near home.
Hmm. Why do you think that art and maybe photography in particular are important for young people to learn?
I think that photography, painting, everything has some complexity level that anyone should try. I'm not saying that anyone should become a photographer or a painter, but anyone should try the the, the discovery of something different. I found in photography, in painting. I think
Mm.
that's good to if you imagine today I'm electrical engineer.
Hmm.
When I get old, I'm not going to be always a electrical engineer. So we must do something in our life that keeps you motivated to work, to do every day or some days when we have free time.
Hmm.
And that's good. That's good for you, for your mind, and it keeps you occupied also.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, definitely. So we've seen that you've done quite a few different genres already. Are there any ones that perhaps we haven't seen images from you yet that you think actually you want to do those to try some different genres?
I like portraiture,
Mm-hmm.
portraits. I would love to visit vast list of countries. Uh, Street photography, I think, is not my it's not my area. I don't think so. Yeah, I admire street photography in
Mm-hmm.
the excellency of that that kind of photography, but I don't know. I think street photography,
Mm.
a very good street photographer, abs- uh, need a long time in in the street. I
Mm.
don't have that time.
Mm. Yeah, well, I mean, wildlife photographers will lie in the grass for hours to get pictures of things, but I think you need to be comfortable with the environment.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
either need to be comfortable sort of in nature and spending time, or if you're a street photographer, you have to be comfortable in the city. And
yeah,
I,
yeah.
I know I'm not doing that kind of thing. It's not my sort of thing. So I wonder then, from what we've seen of your images so far, what do you think they say about you, about your personality?
I don't know. I try to be creative myself. Uh, I only I don't do only photography. I don't do only this. I love, for example, music and sound. In some part of my life, I created cabinet speakers. I dimensioned speakers. I love music at that
Ah,
level to create my own speakers. So,
hmm,
but I think. I try, as I said before, I try to express my ideas. My ideas are some ideas are there, and I think that reveals something about me.
hmm.
Uh, of course, I'm not a dangerous person to criticize everyone, but there are there my ideas are there. What I think about my environment is on in some of my photos.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of variety in there, I think, which seems to come across as you have a lot of interests in different areas. You like
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
things.
yeah. My big idea is try, try.
Hmm.
For example, I had invitation to photograph the Porto Leixões terminal cruise here
Hmm.
in Portugal. They give me free access to one morning,
Mm.
and I was shooting interiors, something that I have not been done before, or almost one place that wins best of best in architecture master prize last year. But
Right.
it
Yeah.
was only that this year I have three more places to visit.
Hmm.
One is done, and there's another two come.
Mm.
Let's see what I can do with that. But I think it's truly different about this. I've been done. I've been exploring still life. Those photos are architecture pure and simple, with max advantage of the lines and geometry of the buildings.
Mm.
Clean images, clean.
Yeah, I mean, well, you do your clean sort of architecture, but I've also seen ones where you play with a bit of movement just to create a little bit of blur in there. Sometimes, like
Okay.
on cityscapes and things like that. Those to me, they seem like they're quite sort of fun, a bit of playing. Or do you have
Yeah,
in
yeah,
mind a very clear idea of what you want when you do it?
yeah. Yeah. I don't say that I draw in the paper what I want, but
Mm.
I have a small idea what I want to create with two or more or three or four exposures, and give some blurry movement, play with blur effects
Mm.
and those strobe effects that Photoshop has.
Hmm.
It gives you interesting images. I like also to play with contrast and colors in that image that brings some joy and some happiness to the image, to the final image.
Mm. So, as somebody who lives outside of the city. You do photograph cityscapes, you photograph architecture, a lot of which I suppose we'd expect to see in the city. So do you feel drawn to the city? Is that somewhere you like to go, or are you somebody who prefers living out in the countryside?
I prefer to live in the countryside, but I work in the city, so
Mm.
it's a mix. When I have the opportunity to shoot in the city, I do that.
Mm-hmm.
When I have the opportunity to shoot in nature, I went to the countryside.
So you seem to be able to find inspiration almost wherever you are. There's something.
Yeah, I try. Inspiration becomes easily. One of my winning images was done just looking to amount of staples.
Mm-hmm.
It happens in the building where I work. There was someone with staples, with a box of staples, and
Right.
was putting one over the other and creates some strange form. And I asked, "Oh, can you give me some?" And the man who worked with us give me a lot of staples. I took that home.
Mm-hmm.
My creation was the image Dubai, for example, and I
Mm-hmm.
created the three-dimensional Burj Khalifa with an image that I took in 2017 in Dubai when I was there.
Mm.
And I created that over a black surface of glass,
Mm-hmm.
and it became a great image. It won the Portugal National Award in Sony Awards in 2020
Mm.
and other contests from there.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do with something simple if you think differently about it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the most great images are the most simple. Uh,
Mm.
Of course, there are great artists like Didi Art. They are Portuguese from Madeira Island.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they create amazing images with meters when printed. They can be printed in something like 7, 8 meters long
Mm.
with enormous creations of people in the several people in the image. It's different. They are great images, great creations. I try to do the opposite, something
Mm.
small, small, small details, small pieces, and create something that claims attention of the viewer.
So yeah, would you say then you like a minimalist style?
I'm not a minimalist. I think it's not minimalism.
Mm-hmm.
I think I never been awarded as minimalist photographer in any competition.
Mm-hmm.
I think the last years I have been in architecture, advertising, conceptual, abstract, something like that, but not minimalism. I
Okay.
think the images are simple, okay,
Yeah.
but some of them have a lot of pieces there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think sometimes people it can be difficult to say where is the line between a
Yeah,
simple
yeah.
image and a minimalist image, isn't it? So yeah. If you had no limits on money, location, or people or objects, is there anything that you would really love to create images of?
That's a good question. I would love to visit some Asian countries, but also America. I would love to do Route 66 in United States
Ah.
from one side to the other side with
Mm.
no limitation of visiting places or taking photos. I think it would be a great travel. But also some Asian countries. I think Asian countries have been evolved so much in the last years. They have amazing architecture, but not also that I think rural places in Asia are just fantastic.
Mm.
I would love to visit China for something like 1 month and go from rural space to another to another to another to another and take
Mm.
photos because um, there are much stories to tell about photography in that places. Okay, I think
Mm.
it's amazing. Some places story seems the same, seems 2 centuries ago, something like that, and that I like that also. Not
Mm.
in my photos actually today,
Mm-hmm.
But as I said in the beginning, Cuba
Yeah.
is okay. It's stopping in the past. Okay, it's clear that. But I like that. I like the old cars. I like the old buildings. I like their culture. I like feel the smoke of cigars, music, and bring that to photography is good. Is beautiful. I
Mm.
think.
Mm. So that would almost be going back to where it all started then, but in a different country, telling stories like that.
Probably you can say that. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that is interesting.
I never think about that, but
Yeah.
yeah, you must be right that.
So if people are not familiar with your work, where are good places to find examples of your images?
Okay, I think today it's fantastic because internet gives you all the free access, but I mostly use Instagram. I never created a page. I am thinking about that, creating my own page. I am thinking creating some printings, some special series. I am thinking that, and not it's became designed in the paper. Let me see if in the next times, in the next
Mm.
months, probably next year, I have the possibility to express that and present that to anyone who search my name in internet, then
Mm.
can find my own page.
Yeah. Well, it's been really great having a chance to talk to you and find out a bit about what's behind your work. I've seen a lot of your images now, so it's great to be able to talk to you a little bit about that. Thank you very much for giving us some time to talk to the listeners to let us know a little bit about how you approach your photography.
Oh, let me say thank you, me. Of course, it was great to have this conversation and discuss something about my works. Sorry about my English; it's not the best, but I hope you understand all what I said. And thank you again. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And thank you all for listening. This is the Focused Professional Podcast.